Hi, guys. Welcome to Tickers, the new series on the Limitless podcast, where we discuss listed companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Now, my name's Thaon.
And I'm Matthew.
Nice. And today we will be talking about WISYNCO Group Limited, ticker as WISYNCO. But before we get into the video, we'd love if you guys could just hit that subscribe button right below, right? If you're watching on YouTube. And if you're one of our lovely audio listeners that's on, whatever podcast platform, you guys can follow us on like Spotify, Apple Music. We're all over the place, right? If you could find us on YouTube, we'd love that. If you could just click that like button or click that subscribe button. But yeah, today, Preston, I guess we'll be diving into WISYNCO a bit. How you feeling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty good. You know, when you were introing, you said like the new series, but I'm realizing it's not as it's actually been like a few months that we've been doing this. I
Oh,
think the
no,
first
I think it
stock that
maybe
we
two
did, I
months.
think it's like 3 months. I think the first stock we
Wow.
had done was Edufocal. I can double check, but I'm pretty sure it's probably like 3 months. It's definitely
True, yes.
we'll probably soon can call it a new series, but we think is the stock that we chose to
Mhm.
do today, and for good reason. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, we actually were lucky enough to have the chairman of WISYNCO, William Mafood, on the podcast. I'll try to leave like a pop-up button or a link or something. But that was a
Big up,
really good
Sir William.
episode. I'm sure you
Hmm.
liked it, Thayan.
Yeah, it was great. Great
A good.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really good conversation. So, I mean, some of the things we'll probably be touching on as it relates to that previous video, but we're
Mm-hmm.
also going to give our thoughts on the company, our thoughts on the stock itself. And yeah, let's just talk about WISYNCO. So when
Mm-hmm.
I first started investing, I heard about WISYNCO being listed and so on. I think no, not most, every Jamaican should know WISYNCO. It is a household name, right?
Mm-hmm.
From you growing up, you know about water. Craft say water with wow. um, yeah. And there are a lot of other products that they distribute that's just so crucial as a Jamaican growing up. Whether you're water with wow,
We're not sponsored. We're not sponsored, but yeah, I
not
had it.
sponsored, not sponsored.
Yet,
Yeah,
yet.
yet. Love that. So let me just share my screen and let's just hop right into it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's a interesting company because it's a lot of times with investing, you want to invest in a company that you use their products, and almost every Jamaican, I'm sure, has had or has used a WISYNCO product, at least once, like multiple times in their life on average. So it's the kind of thing that you can easily understand and be like, hey, I buy these products daily, or if I don't buy them myself, I know people that buy them. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's jump right in. So I guess you guys, I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you guys can see.
You
This
can
is
full
my
screen it.
Notion. This isn't full screen.
Oh no, okay, you can use that. That's cool.
Okay.
Because like I can see the tabs. That's what I was saying.
Oh.
You could
Not
have
really
to
sure how
close
to do.
other tabs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's alright.
All right. No worries. Um. Yeah. So let's go into it. So WISYNCO Group Limited, right? They
Mm-hmm.
are a Jamaican manufacturer and distributor of beverages and food. I'll put beverages first because they're really a beverage company, right? Or a beverage heavy company, like majority beverages, and they also do distribute food. Now, it's a group, right? There's in the name is WISYNCO Group Limited, and there's a reason for that. We'll talk about that soon. But the main business activities are bottling and distribution of like water, beverages, manufacturing food, and distributing food as well. So let's go into it. So I've split it up into manufacturing operations and distribution. In terms of manufacturing, and you can see some of their products here, they have quite a few products. Now, WISYNCO has quite a few products, right? They have in-house brands that they own. This is the company's own and manufactured products. And let me give you like a beverage list. So water, bigger soft drinks, cran water, sparkling cran water, boom energy drink.
Mm.
Yes. And they also have the sweet brand of like products, disposables. So I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen these. I'm pretty sure
Oh, that's
in the
them.
supermarket. Yeah, that's them. But you know
Oh,
what's
wow.
crazy? You know, they used to, it's a little tangent. And I guess I'm gonna touch on it a bit later. I'm gonna touch on it a bit later. But yeah, this is sweet. So they're the disposables. You guys would have seen their cups, spoons, forks, straws, and so on. Remind me to touch on the sweet brand later.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have third party brands that they're the exclusive bottlers for, right? So Coca-Cola, Coke, Coke Zero, Sprite, Minute Maid, etc. Yeah, Minute Maid was actually bought by Coke. Um, and then you have others, Hawaiian Punch and so on. So they have
Mm.
quite a few. They manufacture quite a few products, quite a few products. And now,
Mm.
in terms of like distribution, they distribute even heavier. I think they're a bigger, should I say, a bigger distributor than manufacturer. They have a huge distribution presence, fleet of a ton of trucks, right? They have networks that span the entire Jamaica. So we're talking about, you know, um, you know, some of these. Let me talk about some of the snacks and frozen goods. So General Mills, right, international brand. So they have Haagen-Dazs ice cream, Nature
Mm.
Valley, Yo Plate, right?
Agendas.
Yeah, remember those Daz days back in high school where
Mm.
people used to like hang out at Haagen-Dazs. Wow,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
what
but
a throwback.
even I got someone bust me on one of the flavors. I think is the Duo Crunch or something like that. It's like this
Mm,
chocolate and vanilla thing. It tastes so good, yo, so good.
jeez. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, Nature Valley granola bars, I always shell them. Very good.
Mm.
Yo Plate, Pillsbury, Betty Crocker, Gold
Mm.
Medal, El Paso. Yeah, this
Oh,
this is
tacos
actually
then.
right.
Like tacos and that stuff. Yeah, so
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Scoops Unlimited too. They distribute for them. So you see, how it's crazy because they distribute Haagen-Dazs ice cream, but they also distribute Devon House ice cream
Isn't that
because that's
crazy?
Scoops Unlimited.
I know the
It's
people,
not.
whichever ice cream you choose, they eat a food.
Yeah, true. It's not like they manufacture them, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
it's yeah, you're right. It's just additive for them, and they probably
Diversification.
precisely they probably have the customers that sell ice cream, and some sell Daz, some sell Devon House, some sell Caribbean creamy ice
Mm.
cream as well, and they also distribute for creamy. They've been a retail distributor for creamy. In fact, let me click this link and see. So this is Devon House ice cream coming to supermarket
Mhm.
shelves. And I remember this was May of this year when
Mm.
they announced that, um, WISYNCO, the distribution will be done through a partnership with WISYNCO Group Limited. So I thought that was a very strategic to take Devon House just from, selling in their own ice cream shops and other,
Mm.
you know, third party sellers, and now, having WISYNCO as a partner, that's big for them in terms of
Mm.
sales,
I'm sure the
right?
ice cream retailers don't really like that as much though. Because even think of the place by Sovereign North, the
Mm.
Scoops, right?
Scoops, yeah.
Yeah. Um I'm wondering, oh, they're probably so is it I'm wondering if that place by Sovereign North is owned by the same Scoops
Scoops
Unlimited. It's
Unlimited?
just their
It's possible.
retailing division, maybe. But yeah, I'm just saying,
Maybe.
like, if a lot of people they like, the classic thing, ice cream on a Sunday, and then you
Hmm.
would go to that place, and then sometimes like I've seen it where the lines, depending on the time you go, it's packed like crazy. But then
Very
you could
true.
say, let me just I'll beat the line, and I can still get my Devon House ice cream just buy it from the supermarket. Mm.
Well, if it is Scoops Unlimited, limited, that's funny,
Mm-hmm.
Scoops Unlimited Limited, that owns that retailer, then it works in their favor
Mm-hmm.
because, it's the same ice cream. So maybe higher margin if they have to go in store. I'm not really sure. but still, it does work in their favor. Just
Mm-hmm.
having WISYNCO as a partner. And then they also sell, and Caribbean Cream
Mm-hmm.
Limited. So they
The
also
budget ice
distribute.
cream, so that they hit that budget side, and then I
And
figure
then they hit
Haagen-Dazs is
that.
probably more expensive than Devon House, right? Or
Yeah,
is it?
it's very premium.
So it's like you hit the budget with the creamy, and then the funny part, creamy is owned by Scoops. So
Um,
Scoops, who own Devon House, yeah,
Creamy. How
yeah,
much of Scoops
Scoops,
does
like 75%.
Oh,
Yeah, check
let's
it. Is
actually
on
check
My
it.
Money JA. I think they own like 75%. The Clark, I think, is a Clark's. I think it was his mom, or going off on a tangent. I think the guy who is the CEO or the managing director or chairman or something, I think it's his family. Scoops
Mm,
Unlimited Limited. Yeah.
yeah, see it
The
here.
Clarks. Yeah. So it's his mom. Like, oh wait, scroll up.
This is
Carol
32%
Webster.
of the company.
I think
Carl
Carol
Webster,
Webster. I think she is the. I think that's his mom, Christopher Clark's mom, and I think she was the one,
15%.
or a member of her family helped to start like the Devon House ice cream and stuff. So it's that ice cream family. So they hit that budget side and then the more premium side.
That's brilliant, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, no, it makes sense. It
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Also, Jam Tea. Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember when Jam Tea actually changed?
Announced they were the district. I think it was late last year.
Yeah, this was September 22,
Yeah.
2023.
Oh wow. So it's a year.
Yeah, WISYNCO taking over distribution of the Caribbean
Almost a year
Dreams
to the
and Tech
day.
the Tea. Yeah. Wow, how'd you get that? That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, so WISYNCO started selling all the Caribbean Dreams products and so on. Well, at least their tea portfolios. I'm not sure if they also distribute their other things like soups and so on. But yeah, no, this was huge. I believe it's everything actually. So that's also one.
It'd be interesting to see
Another
if
set of stuff.
Wisynco would take a stake in Jam Teas when they spin off their manufacturing arm. Because what they were doing was they have Jam Tea has the investment side, which is QWI. So they invest in like stocks on the US market, the Jamaican market. Then they had the real estate side, which was I think Mafood and Sons. But then that hasn't done very well, and they've done multiple projects and they haven't made any money. They've lost money on it. And then they had a manufacturing side, which is you mentioned the Tetley and the Caribbean Dreams products, a lot of teas and soups and those kind of stuff. So they said that, okay, let's form a separate company that so you could own just that manufacturing company. And I think one of the reasons they were saying that was that there'd be investors who would just want to own a manufacturing company, and that could be WISYNCO. WISYNCO says, maybe we don't want to own the stocks and the real estate stuff. We're not really into that. We are really just a manufacturing distribution company. So why don't we take a stake in this company?
Exactly.
And then they have
And
a
it's
huge
not
amount of
unlike
cash.
WISYNCO to do that because look at the next one in terms of.
No, I thought you were saying it was something else. Like, look at who owns Jam Tea.
Also, who owns Jam Tea?
Yeah,
That's also true.
My foods. I don't know the exact relation, but it's. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something about that. But yeah, you were saying about Jamaica producers.
Yeah, so WISYNCO, they're called WISYNCO Group because they have another company under the group, which is JP Snacks. So WISYNCO actually owns about 30% interest in JP Snacks, where the other 70% is with Panjam Group Limited. I believe that's what they're called. Yeah. So, see there, the joint venture will be 70% JP, and we'll have the benefit of 30% interest with WISYNCO. And our goal is to give these Jamaican products to consumers everywhere. This deal was done 2019. That they took that stake. They also hope to see increased distribution in Jamaica, regionally in the Caribbean, USA, Canada, UK, Central America. Right. So I thought this was a really cool partnership because WISYNCO doesn't do too many snacks, but now they own a stake and also distribute in a snack company. Right.
They bought
and
that's
you,
the thing
every
is it hasn't really been performing very well, because they bought it in like 2019, and I think up to
very true.
there was a report I checked, and I think it's making losses actually. Like it really hasn't been performing very well.
Well, let's go into that soon. Let's talk about that
Mm-hmm.
soon.
Mm-hmm.
I want to actually touch on the JP Snacks point when we go into
Mm-hmm.
the financials
Okay.
and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but yeah, they own that piece, and then they also distribute a lot of those global brands, the same Coca-Cola. They own Tradewinds, but they don't own Tradewinds. Right? So Tradewinds Citrus Limited, right? WISYNCO acquires. You see this article? It says WISYNCO acquires 50% of this company, and Tradewinds does things like True Juice. So everybody should know True Juice. They never really had a stake in that premium juice brand with limited kind of shelf life. But when they
Mm-hmm.
bought True Juice, that was their access into that. They have True Moo, True Shake, so it's all like dairy stuff now. And I never really had that stake in
Oh
dairy.
wow.
Fresh orange juice, Wakefield, and Calico Jack rum punch.
Yeah,
Yes,
kind of like I like the Calico Jack. I like the Calico Jack.
yeah, Calico Jack is good. So you can see here, WISYNCO Group Limited has acquired 50% stake in Tradewinds, the maker of True Juice fruit beverages. Maybe I didn't highlight anything here, but this was 2013. But at some point, there was some restructuring, and so the parent company actually owns that stake in Tradewinds instead of WISYNCO Group Limited. So if you're looking through and going through WISYNCO's financials, you won't really see WISYNCO Group Limited's financials. You won't see that. You'll
Mm-hmm.
see it in the parent company, which is WISYNCO Caribbean.
Oh
So we'll
wow.
talk. Yeah, I'm not sure where I can. Probably have to look on Google and see if I can find it. But there was a whole restructuring.
Mm. You sure that isn't Worthy Park? 'Cause I think for Worthy Park, I know.
Both. We're going to get into Worthy Park next. That's also Worthy Park too, because you won't see
Oh.
them have that there as well. Also, Worthy Park was to the. So let me get into Worthy Park since you want to jump the gun. But yeah, so WISYNCO's parent actually just bought it straight. They bought 30% stake in Worthy Park straight, but WISYNCO Group owned 50% of Tradewinds until they moved it to the parent company. But yeah, so WISYNCO Group owning. So let's talk about Worthy Park. Worthy Park they have that sugar operation, and they sell. Let me show you the sugar. I don't know if you guys can see this sugar, but Worthy Park Estate Jamaican cane sugar. So they produce the
Mm.
sugar. They produce the rum bar line, right? Silver, gold, the rum cream, etc. They all have a vodka line too, and so on.
Mm.
They have a reserve, single estate reserve, which my brother, who's a bartender, Father Dovey, he's also a doctor. It's funny, but he is Jamaica's best
Mm.
bartender. He actually really likes WISYNCO, Worthy Park's rums. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, but yeah. I mean, looking at Worthy Park and taking that stake, I thought that was pretty good because that gave them that access into that liquor category, and being able to distribute a lot of those products was pretty big for both companies, for both Worthy Park and WISYNCO, because Worthy Park sales, as you can see, two product lines that are expected to grow sales by around $2 billion. And this was way back in 2018 that they acquired it. So yeah. Uh let's head back to, so that was alcoholic beverages, and they also distribute some wine and spirit brands. So I took this from WISYNCO's prospectus, where you can see some of the brands where they
Mm.
manufacture and some of the brands
Mm-hmm.
that they distributed at that time. Some things have
Mm.
changed, some things have added, right? Some things have been added, some things have been discontinued since then.
Mm.
I'm not really gonna get into the whole network, but in reality, they distribute to about 12,000 customers locally. They have a big presence in supermarkets. If you go in supermarket, it's unlikely that you'll go into any supermarket and not see a WISYNCO product. That would be kind of weird. They have that big footprint. Convenience stores, gas stations,
Mm-hmm.
restaurants, food service outlets, even the North Coast. Because every time I stay in a hotel on the North Coast,
Mm-hmm.
if you open the mini fridge, you see
Mm-hmm.
Sprite, Coke, all of those things. You see water. You don't see Catherine speak. You literally see like water,
Mm. You
right?
remember on the episode that we had with William,
Mm-hmm.
he actually mentioned, I remember I was talking about there was a hotel that was opening up, the Princess Resorts, and I think it
Yes,
was due to open up, I think it was this month, September. And then at the time he had said, "Oh, we already secured that contract before they even open. We have it locked." I was like, "Okay,
that is
nice,
it.
nice." And if you, I guess, if you look at it too, they people may not realize that they are a heavily tourism influenced company, because we have what Jamaica has like 3 million people or so,
Yeah,
but then tourist wise, we bring in, I think, like 4 million visitors a year, or I
big.
think it's like 3 million or 4 million visitors a year. So we're possibly bringing in either matching the amount in the country or more. And if a lot of those those people going to the hotels,
Mm-hmm.
they're buying it, they're using the WISYNCO products, so the hotels will buy from WISYNCO. So yeah, definitely with
Agreed.
more of the hotels that are being lined up and built up and all that stuff, WISYNCO is likely to benefit from that. It just means more customers for them.
Truly,
And then
it just
they
means
are
more customers.
you think about it, the people at the resorts and the hotels are more likely to drink, I'd say, drink more of the products, because they even drink some and they say, I don't want all of it, like, versus you just buying it one time. Like, they're on vacation, you're gonna, like, splurge and just drink
Yeah.
different stuff.
And if you have an
So
open bar or so on, you're just buying drinks. You're seeing drinks flowing, and they have
chaser.
drinks from top down. They
Mm-hmm.
have water, they have chaser, they have the liquor. So it's actually kind of brilliant, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to own that, like, you can see that, especially when you're talking about owning ice cream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Distributing all of those different ice cream products means likely anywhere that sells ice cream, you are distributing to them. You are earning a
Mm-hmm.
piece of that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a great strategy, to just own all of one type of like food or drink or something like that. I want to go into exports a bit. So William also, I asked him about exports, Mr. Mafood, about exports, and he spoke about them not really reaching far in terms of exports. Like, they are reaching far in terms of the areas that they're exporting, but when you actually look at it, he said it was just about over 1.1 billion in export revenues in the 2023 to 2024 financial year, and you can see it here based on the numbers, right? So if you look on the numbers, this was from the report, year end 2024. The export revenues was
Tiny.
1.17 billion. I mean, hey, tiny to some people, large to other people, but in comparison to how much they make locally, imagine you make $52 billion locally, yet only export $1.1 billion, right? You can either look at that and say, "Yo, they're not doing enough," or you can look at it and say, "Yo, that's opportunity right there."
Mm-hmm. We say, what if it were
So
to reverse?
exactly. What if they had a 2030 vision like GK and they wanted 70%? Imagine 70% of their revenues being earned outside. If local stayed flat, right? And 70%, this would be about 30. What's 70% to 30% kind of ratio? That's over 100. That's what, maybe 150 or 150 billion worth of dollars in exports. That would be crazy still. That would actually be insane. I would love to see it. So yeah, this is just how little exports. This is like less than 2% of their, it's about 2% of their revenues.
Mm.
If you think about it, this is about 2% of their revenues is in exports. So they export to the US, Canada, Europe. I wanted to show you this picture. This was the time on the podcast when I said, you know, I
Wait,
saw
full
a
screen it?
picture of, this is Kevin De Bruyne. This is a Man City. What does he play? Central attacking mid. He's one of the the best midfielders of our generation, I should say. Um, definitely one of the best. Definitely one of the best. And this is him
Mm.
controlling the bigger because somebody threw a pineapple bigger after him in a match. And he was just controlling it with his foot. I just found it hilarious. But the reach that Jamaican companies have, insane
Mm.
to see. So let's move on a little bit. So understanding what WISYNCO does for money, let's move into the ecosystem. Now, one of the things in the ecosystem, yeah, these are some of the things you spoke about, and you guys can check out the Last M video. But Last M is a competitor, I would say, and Last D, the other competitors, because they both manufacture and distribute. And you're thinking of other companies that manufacture and distribute products, thinking of your GKs, your Seprads, etc. So
Mm.
those are sub competitors within the landscape. Because even GK has different water brands too. GK owns
Mm.
Pizza 876. Not sure. I think they own
Catherine's.
Catherine's Peak. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they own I think another water brand too. They own a few water brands. Alaska owns iCool, which is drinks and water.
Mm-hmm.
And they all distribute as well. So yeah, but you also spoke about the sugary drinks tax. Not really going to go into it as much because we mentioned it a few times. But there have been in previous videos. I guess you can touch on
Mm-hmm.
it quickly if you can, like, say one or two sentences on sugar drinks tax.
Yeah, so Jamaica is one of the countries that reportedly was considering implementing a sugary drinks tax. Essentially, it would be like, okay, drinks that have, say, 30 grams of sugar or up there or over 40 grams of sugar, it's going to be 20% more expensive. And then that tax that the government would put in could then be used to, say, build a hospital or build new health centers and stuff like that. So it's the incentive of the tax is, okay, the drinks that have way more sugar, that if people were to drink them a lot, they can get certain conditions like diabetes and other stuff and obesity.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make them more expensive to then discourage people from buying as much of those. And the drinks that have less sugar will be rewarded essentially because they'll be more affordable. So things like
Mm-hmm.
water wouldn't be hit with a sugary drinks tax. So people may be more likely to drink water or at least low drinks with less sugar. So
Yeah,
that
Coke
was
Zero.
so I still haven't I have really I wasn't even able to see like an update on the tax being implemented. Like the last article I saw was maybe like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But at some point, I do think it will. A version of the tax will likely pass. I don't really know how much percent or whatnot.
I
So I
mean,
think with
Jamaica already
Cinco,
has done something like that for even like tobacco tax. And
mm,
tobacco's tax, I think, is about close to 40%.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I agree. It is possible. And it may hit with Cinco and other companies that do produce things like that. But that's just a possibility right now.
The thing is, there was a ban related to schools, like how much sugar. I can send you. Okay, I'm gonna send you an article, and you can probably pull it up since you're
Sure.
sharing screen. And once again, this is our reminder, guys, for the audio listeners. We are on YouTube. The benefits of YouTube, you can see our handsome faces and you can also see when we share our screens. So, yeah, so look at that. Like it says,
Schools urged to comply with restrictions on
let's see,
sugar sweetened beverages.
effective January 1, 2019. They said
Mm,
they blocked sugar sweetened beverages with total sugar concentration exceeding a maximum of 6 grams of sugar per 100 mil.
mm.
So let me think. So I cool stuff like
iCool is
cran
like
water is what?
500. That's
500.
about the regular cran water bottle is 591 mils. So that's
Five.
close to
Let's call that
600. So
600.
6 is 36.
Wow. So that's I don't know how much sugar is in something like a cran water or something.
Mm. Speaking about
Mm.
cran water though, which I want to touch on with the next point with cran water. There was
Oh
this
wait, hold
thing.
on.
There was this.
Oh,
What happened?
go. No,
No,
just
there was
when you
this.
read the article, it actually gets worse and worse. Like in terms of it tears. So in 2019, this it says 6 grams per 100 ml. Then
Mm-hmm.
2020 it's 5 grams per 100 ml.
Mm,
2021 it's 4. Come January 2023, the limit will move to a maximum of 2.5 grams of sugar per 100 ml. Dang.
interesting.
Okay. Yeah, so it's even less. 2.5 grams. And he says a 600 ml, that's 15 grams max.
Wow.
Okay. I don't know if this actually went through though. I mean, it's a 2022 article, so I assume at least the some of the tears happened.
Yeah, it says this was reduced to a maximum of
Yeah,
5, so it
yeah,
sounds like it
yeah.
was already done,
Wow.
and to a
Okay, so
maximum of 4. So it's real.
mm-hmm. So see, even something like that. That's why I remember we had mentioned in the last go videos that Lasco had implemented a reduced sugar version of their iCool. So something like that. I don't know. I guess I'd have to check how much sugar is in the reduced sugar version. If it's enough that it could, fit within the confines that we laid out here.
Yeah,
Okay, interesting.
truly. One of the things I also wanted to touch on was this article. I remember seeing this actually. Water War. WISYNCO sues Heart Foundation over campaign against sugary beverages. So you're probably like, why are they suing Heart Foundation, which is like an NGO?
Mm,
Well, yeah, it's an NGO. So, this was with the health minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, described it as a very unfortunate legal move. Basically, what happened is, something was posted to their Instagram, them being, Heart Foundation, about, are you drinking yourself sick, right? And
mm-hmm,
what it actually had was them talking about the volume of. So WISYNCO contains that the since deleted Instagram post made inaccurate claim about the volume of sugar contained in its cran water beverage before asking the question, are you drinking yourself sick? Drink water instead.
mm,
And they were basically disputing it, saying, it conveyed false and defamatory information about its cran water beverage. And boy, since being on Twitter, I've also realized the
mm-hmm,
power of, you know, I guess, well, it's not really a tongue, but even typing, because the
mm-hmm.
things you say can, if it's false or can be perceived as false, that's defamation.
It sounds like there's
Like
a
all these
story to
people,
that.
oh, there are quite a few, though. There are quite a few. But even,
Very personal story.
oh no, not me. Oh, well,
Not you?
let's just jump over that. We're not going to talk about
I'm
that.
just like, whoops.
Right? Yeah, I'm not trying to get cancelled here. However, let's talk about even when the most recent things I've been seeing are people talking about, like, calling, Vibes Cartel a murderer. But in reality, that's defamation. Like, if you're saying that, I mean, he all of that was gone. His record should be. I don't know if it's I don't really know the legal terms. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it's expunged, but it was proven that he's not guilty, so he's out now, and so on. So people saying he's a murderer, that's false information, right? And that can be defamatory, and they can be opening themselves up for a lawsuit. So always have to watch what you say. But
Mm.
anyway,
It's
this
just a
was.
reminder of that the dangers of the internet, because when you post something on the internet, even if you delete it, people can just screenshot it, record it. It's like nothing that's on the internet is, even if you take it off, it's always gonna kind of be there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's facts. So you really have to watch what you say and tweet. But yeah, I mean, Dr. Tufton said he's not sure what the logic is, business or otherwise, for a company to pursue legal action against an NGO seeking to pursue a critical and globally
Mm.
recognized public health mandate. This is
What I'd
big
want to
back and
know
forth.
is how much. So essentially, you're saying the Heart Foundation was saying you have X amount of sugar in your drink, but then
Mm-hmm.
Wisynco is saying that's not the true amount. I don't want to say how far off was it. Was it like 10% off? Was it like doubling it? You
True.
know, I don't know.
I don't know, but
Mm,
them delete that Instagram post, so it's hard. It's gonna be extremely hard to find that. But
mm,
yeah, I mean, they were saying that the words were calculated to disparage Cranwater and WISYNCO in its business, and they're saying WISYNCO's reputation have been seriously damaged, and the principals of WISYNCO have suffered considerable distress, anxiety, and embarrassment. That's what the company asserted. So it's just a lot of these with these type of products and so on that can affect your health. There will always be public scrutiny. There will always be in the media things like that every now and again. Because even when I scroll down and you read the comments are terrible still. Like I always try to read a lot of the. Somebody says you also have a lot of business. Truth is truth. Stop it with sync. I don't know why. There's so much that doesn't make sense about some of these comments, right? Like they said they're disappointed and so on, but you know, someone is saying it's most unfortunate. Yes, heart. They're taking both sides, but in reality, all of these things are always going to be open to public scrutiny, and there can be legal battles and so on. Um, Also, I want to talk about some supply chain issues. So even with JP Snacks that you were talking about before, thank God this was here. But even when I look at JP Snacks, oh no, paywall. But yeah, it was saying Wisynco's earnings climbed to 5 billion. Snacks take a nibble out of profits. This was an article posted a year ago, September 2023. And hold on, let me just stop sharing for a second. But you're right. So, like when you actually look at the, you know, the financials and so on, you could see that
mm-hmm,
it was not a profitable, really, not really a profitable arm for a point.
mm-hmm,
And part of it was actually due to, some supply chain issues. So let me share my
mm,
screen again. Perfect. Now, if you're looking at my screen, it says right here that, you know, my food said JP Snacks has been experiencing challenges with the supply of raw materials, particularly regarding its frozen business line, for which it serves Puerto Rico and Latin Americas. It's a combination of factors that has affected the supply of agricultural inputs. But right now they're on a new chapter, XYZ. But in reality, we just had Beryl, and Beryl wiped out almost all banana trees, and I guess that would also be like planting and stuff like that. So when you think about it,
yeah, I remember I was reading an article about how damaged JP was. Like it was a really significant damage that they had to their farms.
yeah,
I think it was like 90% or 80% of their crop was wiped out in some parts.
it was over 90. So preliminary assessments, 80 to 100% banana trees. I've seen articles that say it's like over 90% and so on. There was quite a bit of damage, to be honest. And then you
Mm,
you think about it, that's a whole, like a snack line. Like the snack line is mainly the banana chips. They have like breadfruit chips and cassava chips and stuff like that. But
mm,
even some of those have probably been wiped out in terms of like breadfruit and plantain and so on. So, and then they have different types of the banana chips. You have the barbecue banana. So that may affect them. Supply chain issues. Having um those kind of issues, natural disasters can really hinder JP Snacks going forward. And even the
mm-hmm,
thing you're talking about in terms of, drought affecting the Panama Canal. So a lot of these companies aren't getting the raw materials they need to produce their products in order to, distribute them and so on. So that's also an issue within the ecosystem. Now, moving on to WISYNCO, and in terms of their future plans, and I guess I'm gonna just say why I like WISYNCO. WISYNCO is one of those what we call blue chip stocks, right? And you're gonna see it based on their plans. But WISYNCO does like to grow. WISYNCO is not a stagnant company. And they do like to expand as well. So one of the things, I guess I'll show their expansion plans and so on. But I looked at the audited financials, right? And it was just impressive to me to look at their revenues in the past like 5 years. 2019, $26 billion in revenue. Then they grew that to 32 billion the next year. COVID happened here, so it kind of stagnated a bit to 31 billion. So they lost a little bit. And then they went up to 39 billion in 2022 to 48 billion to 50, I think, 6 billion this year. So they literally, imagine maybe about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, 5 years ago, you were at about half or less than half of what you are now. And these are billions. So in order to grow that much, that's some crazy growth. And how have they been doing that? And how are they doing it in the future? And how are they going to lock in that growth? Well, if you look, they've actually been doing a lot of building out of their facilities. So it's an article by David Rose. WISYNCO outlines a $5 billion expansion project. So it spoke to,
And what was the article?
This was 2022. So they mentioned this 2022. It was like a 2-year plan to build out some production lines, let me show you exactly what they said. So it's their headquarters, Lake Spence, St. Catherine. That's where they carry out a lot of their distribution and manufacturing is at the White Mile location, right? And then they opened up a warehouse in Hague in Trelawney to tackle the western side of the island. But yeah, they embarked on this project for the beverage machinery. They said at this time it cost between 3.15 billion to 4.73 billion. And yeah, they increased their inventory by 51%. That was crazy. The Trelawney facility, they already started to see a lot of outturn from it at that time, and this was 2 years ago. Then now, when you want to look at something a bit more recent, let's probably let me see this one. This was 2023, so this was December of last year, 2023. They were saying that the overall expansion at the end of June this year, that's when they were projecting, we'll see 5 new production lines that will double its output. Now imagine that. They're spending so much money to double their output with 5 new production lines.
I don't think. Hold on. I don't think it was their.
This is the beverage. What? This was December.
I know, but I don't think it's a double because there's a. Let me see the rest of it says. No, just keep it there. No, keep it where. I think it was specifically that line though, because the quotes I was seeing about how much it's gonna actually be in relation to
it's about 50%.
I think it's 40% I saw.
A lot of stuff. So see there, it will boost its capacity by 50%. Some say 40%. I'm going to show some that she said 40%. It's just I want to show also how the articles change as time goes on, what they call progressively elaborative. So the closer you are to the goal, I guess the more refined certain targets are.
The other thing too is I like to sometimes look at quotes. So the quote I saw, there was an article. Let me send you the article. But in the meantime, it was February 2023. The CEO, Andrew Mahfood, said that he's quoted saying it will boost our capacity by about 30 to 40%.
Yeah, see, 30% increase.
Yeah.
Boost the capacity by
30 point is, I guess, is a pretty big increase.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then let me see if I can find something a bit more recent now. So these two are the articles I really want to show. Now, they were saying that it would cost around, at first it was saying, 3 to 4 billion and so on. Now, seeing articles. This was the latest one, September 4, 2024. So maybe a week or maybe 2 weeks ago, this article came out saying WISYNCO's expansion cost rises to $7 billion, heading towards the finish line. So it was originally priced at around $5 billion, but now it's up to the final quote I see is $7 billion that is going to take, with 2 more lines due to be ramped up by the end of this year and another by early next year. So they put in a beverage line, water line. So, this is for, I think it was 2, one for fizzy soft drinks, one for non-fizzy soft drinks, or just non-fizzy drinks, sorry. One was a water line. And they were saying that, those were, put into operation like last year, and the water line March of this year. But look here, our final quarter therefore reflected the positive results from these expansion efforts. Right? They were saying that the revenue, so basically there were issues with actually starting production on those lines, but everything started, and the fourth quarter, spanning April to June, delivered 12% revenue growth and was the best ever at $14.3 billion. Right? Let me highlight that. What's 14 times 4? That's, I actually can't, that's 56 billion would be targeted if this is their best ever, right? However, net profit was 1.22 billion and so on. Now look at this. WISYNCO's chairman said that because of the new lines, export sales in the fourth quarter shot up by about 25%. Now, same thing I was saying, WISYNCO, in terms of exports, they have a lot of room to grow. But when I was doing a lot of the research and so on, I realized they actually were not meeting local demand. So imagine you're a company, you can either produce locally or produce internationally, but you're not even fully meeting the local demand, right? So in order to meet the demand and the expected upcoming demand, they said, yo, we have a ton of cash, and WISYNCO had about $10 billion in cash, right? Now that's slashed in about half, or maybe a little, about half. So they only have about $5 billion in cash, and they used a lot of that cash to fund this expansion. Imagine now, you're so cash, you can fund this huge expansion out of pocket. You don't have to borrow money like most companies would have to either go to the market and ask the market for money, us as shareholders, right? They could have said, you know what, let's do a WISYNCO rights issue, or let's do a WISYNCO APO. Sorry, let's do a WISYNCO rights issue, right? Or they could have just done like a bond, or just gotten debt from another, a financial institution or something like that. But they said, no, we're cashy enough. Let's do it. Now, I know they wanted to raise that money, but in another article, he was saying that the money never really came, and he wasn't going to wait on the money to come when they already have money sitting down. So they just started building. The only, I guess, unfortunate thing that it's $2 billion more than they initially thought. But yeah, let's keep reading the article. So they're saying the remarkable thing is that those machines didn't really get up to full speed until the fourth quarter. And that's where you started to see it affect the numbers, particularly exports. And they're saying that we're just starting now to fill the pipeline. So what I think you'll see is that in the coming quarters of the new financial year, the numbers will be looking even better. And this is what I was saying to you, Preston, before. WISYNCO is one of them stocks for the grandkids, right? WISYNCO is that stock that you just hold, and you can expect just growth. Whether it may not be astronomical growth year over year, but they will grow. They're not a stagnant company at all. So exports are centered around bigger soft drinks to the UK. So funny that I saw that, and I just automatically will think Kevin De Bruyne. True juice to the United States market. True juice to the US market. That would be big, right? And Cranwater overseas. And they're just talking about the 200,000 square foot expansion in Lakes Penn. And look at this. The past year, WISYNCO's fixed assets have doubled in value from 7.5 billion to 15.5 billion. 1 year's time, your assets have doubled. That's just crazy growth to me. That's absolutely crazy growth to me. And they said they're adding a glass bottle line and a canning line and so on, and another drinks line to take care of odd-sized businesses. And so it'll be commissioned by early 2025 in the White Marl, which is where they manufacture a lot of their things. So yeah, I mean, see, this is just them talking about the demand and so on. But this was another part where they're saying they're seeing declines in the sector. This is after burial, and the trickle down effect of surrounding communities and what that's doing to the businesses. The same thing we're talking about in terms of burial having that impact. And the robust kind of demand that we had originally anticipated, we're not seeing that. That's what the chairman said. Well, I'm actually not sure if this is the chairman. This is one of the Mahfoods. Not really sure which one. But you can see the effect of, Hurricane Beryl and so on. However, that's not stopping WISYNCO from growing. That's not stopping them at all. They're saying, they're doubling down. They're saying they're just gonna invest in themselves, invest in their capacity to produce more and more goods to supply the market that clearly needs them. Now, and if you think about it, the growth, I wanted to look at the growth again. This growth is actually, like, think of a stock like this. How many stocks grow this consistently year over year? A behemoth of a stock at that. This is a huge company. Now, let's go into, I guess, management and ownership. That's crucial for, and I'm going to use My Money JA. Now, going to put our plug here. We do have a discount for you guys if you guys plan to use My Money JA and actually pay for it. Right? You can just use code Limitless. Yes. You'll get 5% off, and it really does help out the channel. But My Money JA has some really, really cool features. This is the shareholders feature, so you can see the shareholders. I really love this feature. And if you look at WISYNCO is controlled by WISYNCO Group Caribbean Limited, and they own 73% of the company. But that's as of the 30th of June. Yes, 2024. So the end of the quarter, June. I want you guys to keep this in mind, because there's a few more things and a few dots that we need to connect. You have ATL Group Pension Fund that owns 1.5%. So 73% is held here. The next biggest shareholding is 1.5%. Then you have GK and all these other persons, National Insurance Fund, DAMAD, and you can see NHF, National Insurance Fund, and DAMHAD Investments, whoever they are, have been buying as well, and they own basically equal amounts. But if you go back, let's go back by 1 quarter. It's actually a really cool feature. You'll notice no change for most people, except this DAMHAD Investments. They've moved up the ranks. Well, previously they've been moving up the ranks. So this is them buying 4 million units, which is about
6 by 17%.
By about 17%, right? But if you look before that, they were 10th. And, this is how much they had. But if you look before that, you'll realize right here it says no previous quarter data available. Meaning, if you go to the quarter that ended September 30th, 2023, so 1 year ago, they were not in top 10. They were literally not here. So they've been buying up stakes. They've been buying up
They could have
pieces.
been 11th.
They could have been 11th. I just said they were not in top 10. So they could have been 11th, yeah. And if you actually look in some previous financials, you'll see them, but I think it's not spelled that hard.
Oh, they've been in the top
investments.
10 before, you're saying.
I think so, but I don't know if it was spelled like this. Damn hard. Investments WISYNCO. Let me see if I can find. This is December 2017. Is it here? I remember
Yeah, I saw them.
Dom had. I don't know why it's spelled like this, unless it's a different company. I doubt they would get the names wrong like this. So I don't really know. This was 17 million units at this time, which would take them, if you look on the shareholders list, it would take them outside of top 10. That's if it's the same company. Yeah. So let's go back to WISYNCO. Now, the reason I'm mentioning top 10 is because I want to actually look on the stock itself. So let's actually check the stock. Oops, sorry, that was my bad. Now
You can get there from the shareholder feature, you know. You can just click on the
yeah, I know. It just didn't work to search for the companies at the top. I just clicked something else. Sorry. It's not that it didn't work. So I want you to pay attention to this trade right here. Let me shorten the time period. This is the 11th of September, 2024. The 11th of September, 2024, right? On that day, you could see that 377 million units were traded of WISYNCO on that day. And then this was the 11th. The 13th, you see 188 million units traded. Now, whenever I see these big movements, because if you look in the grand scheme of things, you won't look at euros. Look, have you seen this big trade happen? We haven't. The biggest trades are like this one here, just 300, 600k units. Right? You're not really seeing those big trades. This is the biggest trade you'll see in terms of volume. Now, when you look at that, my head just starts to dig and say, oh, what could have possibly happened right here, right? So, block transactions, and this is a quote I took from the main market book, right? They're uninterruptible put-throughs. And you guys can find the main market book online. JSE's website, I think you should have it. But they're uninterruptible put-throughs. They're restricted to transactions between members of the same group of companies and other transactions which will not affect a change in the beneficial ownership of the securities. But when I look at this, what percentage of the company
What does that mean in English, though?
What does that mean in English? So a block transaction, basically, and this actually happens around like market price. So it's when you have a trade that goes through, and as you can see, it's restricted to transactions between members of the same group of companies. Right? So members of, if we're using WISYNCO as an example, right? It has to be either beneficial owners or affiliates of WISYNCO. So beneficial owners of WISYNCO would be, think of it like the parent. The parent owns WISYNCO Group Limited. They own 70% of it. So a block transaction would have to have, I don't know, sold or bought or something within that same group of companies. Not sure if I'm explaining it right well enough.
How I thought about it is that there's a rule on the stock exchange, and I guess most stock exchanges should have it, that you are not, say you, Thaon, you are not supposed to be able to buy and sell from yourself. Like, you can't open up an account on Sagicor, own 10,000 units of WISYNCO, and then put a sell order in the queue, and then go on your JMMB account and then buy those 10,000 orders. That's not supposed to happen. So you're not usually supposed to trade between yourself. But suppose you, Thaon, had a holding company A, and a holding company B. The holding company A, and you are the only owner, you're the owner of both holding companies, right? So you are the beneficial owner that's listed on the like the companies. So if you own the 10,000 units of WISYNCO in company A, and say company A was in Jamaica, but company B was in St. Lucia, and I know St. Lucia kind of, and other countries, you can avoid paying taxes or certain like corporate income taxes and stuff like that. So you're like, if I own the shares in WISYNCO in company B, I could avoid paying taxes. So what I'll do is essentially transfer, like I want to move the shares from A to B. So my understanding was that that would be a time that that usual rule where you're not really supposed to buy and sell from yourself, it's like through a block trade that is effective. So it's like the only time that the JSE would allow that, because the beneficial owner is not changing. That was my understanding. So I guess in the case you're saying that how did you know one of the trades was a block trade then?
Let's show the analysis.
I think
Is
it's
it
the intraday
analysis or
data.
intraday data?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is, once again, you guys, this is why you should subscribe to us on YouTube. You can see Thaon sharing his screen, and you can see our handsome faces. So go
It's
to
funny
the
that you keep
date.
saying that.
It's true. I think it's September 11th, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says switch it. So you have to switch the date to the calendar. Scroll down. Yeah, click there. I need to play some elevator music. Doom, 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 doom.
There we go.
And then put the mouse. I think it tells you it's a block trade.
Trade. Yep.
Yeah. So
Right
you're
there.
saying that, well, so how do you know it's WISYNCO? So if you go back to the top 10, they're the only ones who own that amount of shares. The WISYNCO Group, was it WISYNCO Group Caribbean?
Yeah, because remember the second was 1 point. It's about 1 point, less than 2%, and that's 58 million shares. This was
Oh, okay.
ATL
So you're
Group
saying,
Pension. So if it is anyone that's trading in shares, it has to be this guy.
because no
This
one else
big
has
guy
that
right here.
amount of shares.
Exactly. And it's unlikely that all of these guys would have pooled together. And even if they did, let me see if they could actually do it. 50.
I don't think it would be in one trade
But it's
though. It
just,
wouldn't
yeah, it's
register like
exactly. It's highly
that.
unlikely.
So
So when you
that day was a black trade.
but
The other day was a black trade too.
yeah, but when you meds it, bro, look at this. This is 376 million, and well, both of these. So let's call it. This is about 10% of the company.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 10% of the company actually. Because look, total ownership
3 billion.
81% in top, and then the amount that was issued, right? Issued shares is 3.75 billion. So and how much traded? 3.76 million. So this is 10% of the company right here. So right, that just traded in one go. Then now you want to look at the next, I think it was the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
The 13th. Yeah. And then you try and find the
Oh, but that one wasn't a block trade. It's there. It's there. You don't see it?
perfect. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. But this is not a block trade. This is 188. So this is why my money is actually goated still. And this is not a block trade. Now that's crucial because this gets to my next point. This is 188 million, but not a block trade. Now, 10% was the block trade. 10%, a bit over 10%, because it was so maybe I need to actually do the actual calculations. But it was two of the trades were block trades. So let me go back for 1 second. And then 188 million, which would be half of that. So that's about, wow, I just lost it. That's about 5% of the company right there. Right? So let me go to the date. Going back to the date. So You have this plus this. So let's call it about, I'm going to call it 10% of the company. But then 188 mil is 5% of the company. So that's 15% of the company that's been traded in these 2 days. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But this, as you say, is not a block trade. Now, crucial. What I like is how much, yeah, I wonder how much that is in fees. I just, we should do an episode on JSE itself. We should definitely do an episode on JSE. But when you look at the article you sent me, and you know, you made a very good point about things that once you post that on the internet, that can't rub out, right? So I remember this was posted in the Observer, and then somebody took it down, and I'm just like, whoa, why would somebody take this down? But then of course you're brilliant, and you find these things. But the NIF boost take in WISYNCO big and bold, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
it says, you know, the NIF is stepping up its investment, the National Insurance Fund, right, to ensure it meets some obligation. Yes, yes, yes. But on the purchase on Friday of the stake in WISYNCO, the stake in WISYNCO was confirmed by a party connected to the transaction who requested anonymity as they weren't authorized to speak publicly on the matter. The trade involved the purchase of how much? 188 million shares in the manufacturing and distribution giant at $21 per share. That's that's almost $4 billion to acquire 5% of WISYNCO Group Limited. That's some cash. The man them splash some cash. So
Whoa, hold on. What we should do first is preface this that there could be a reason why the article was pulled.
yeah,
It could be that, you know, this wasn't supposed to, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to see it though. By the time the next report is due when?
the next report, well, this would have been, remember they
July,
bought
August,
this.
September. That'll be the September quarter, which should be Q1. So October, mid-November.
No. Yeah.
And because this happened September, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah. So it would be within
Yes.
their
Yes.
Q1
Their
report that the
Q.
trade happened.
Yeah. That would be within their Q1. Mm-hmm.
And I just had, we should just say that I just had to do some mental math, guys. I'm slow. So, you know, companies, they have, when they're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, they have certain requirements. Wait, pull up the My Money JA actually does it for you. You can go back to the My Money JA WISYNCO page. So
Yeah.
WISYNCO, scroll down to show WISYNCO's quarters. So
Oh.
WISYNCO, no, scroll down a little more for the performance.
Oh, okay.
So you see the reports, yeah.
Performance you want to
So if you see over there to the left of the on screen, I'll try to explain for the audio listeners. Remember that, so there's the calendar year, and then there's a financial year of a company. Most of the times, what I've seen is that the financial year aligns with the calendar year, i.e., when you say, oh, the company's financial year has ended, it's usually December, and then it's the same as just a regular year. The year ends December. But WISYNCO is a little different. So WISYNCO, their financial year ends in June. So have they had released their audited results? The
No.
audited results was the one that had dropped recently. I think it was that. Yeah, I think it's their
Was it
audited.
audited? I
Sure,
know
check
it
my
was their full year, but I don't think it
Yeah,
was
they're
audited.
audited. Yeah, they're
Was this?
audited.
Oh,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I got to sidetrack. So when it's your unaudited report, which means
Yeah,
that
they
the
had to.
auditors are like the accountants that check over and double check everything to make sure, okay, this is proper, everything is accounted for properly. The unaudited reports, you have to drop the reports usually within 45 days of the quarter ending. So WISYNCO's quarters follow January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So because the trade occurred you said in September, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would be within the July, August, September quarter. At the end of each quarter, they have to report the top 10 shareholders and how, so you can see how the shareholder list changes. So because the trade occurred within the September quarter, by the time they release the next
That's their
report,
Q1.
which is their quarter one, which the quarter one would have ended September, but remember they'd report. So I counted 45 days from end of September. So I was saying October is, I just count that as a month is what 30 days have September, April, June, but I just count that as a month.
31.
So I say a month and a half essentially. So when I say 45 days, it's a month and a half. So I just said, okay, it's about mid-November. The report should be due, but they can release it before that too. But that
Yeah.
mental math, if you go scroll over to My Money JA, they tell you when it's due. And it's usually pretty accurate. So see there, report due. I wish you could highlight report
Where?
due in, say report due in 1 month and 3 weeks right there on your screen at the bottom right.
Oh, yeah, right there. Yes.
Yeah. So that mental math, if you don't want to do that, you can just use that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
No.
So I guess go back. Sorry for sidetracking your point. So you're saying that if that article that was pulled is right, I guess the National Insurance Fund has increased their stake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They would have
I don't know
acquired
why it's pulled though.
5%. Well, I'm not really sure. They just go on to talk about,
who wrote the article.
I don't know. You don't even see it here.
It's Observer.
Yeah, but the person that said it is just they want to, stay anonymous. But this is just so interesting to me because, all right, WISYNCO, the parent company, likely sold 5% of the company to NIF. What happened to that other 10%? Yeah, well, meds that because like there's another 10% that was the block trade. So some of the things I was thinking of is what could the parent company have done for that? Now we spoke about WISYNCO and their expansion plans and them burning through about $7 billion in cash and so on. And I remember Yared, big up Yared, Boomdraw on Twitter of physics. But Yared asked us like, what we thought happened. And I mean, some people were, I don't remember what everybody else said, but I remember telling them that WISYNCO, and I don't want to say they're a boring company, right? You can see how they've been growing, but they're not like a GK. Their strategy is different. They're not big on the whole mergers and acquisitions. They could acquire, and they have been acquiring, but it's not as frequent, I should say, as like a GK who publicly states, yo, this is what we're doing, merger and acquisition. And they're doubling down on that organic growth with WISYNCO. They're investing in themselves. They spent how much billions of dollars? I think it's $7 billion increase in their assets. They double their fixed assets. So it's more of that organic growth that they're planning to do. So in reality, WISYNCO has always had a lot of cash. Now you can see that their cash has been depleted if you look through their financial statements. So I'm not sure if they're trying to raise more cash by doing this trade, because one of the things you can possibly do is they would have probably locked away 10%. So remember, it's a block trade, so it's to beneficial owners. So it's likely what they're trying to possibly do for WISYNCO Group Limited is WISYNCO, the parent, which is WISYNCO Caribbean, right, would have probably taken some of those shares, sold them to maybe, I don't know, a special purpose vehicle, like another company, and lock those shares away. And they could have, I don't know, you can use those shares. There's so many things that you can do. You can use those shares as like collateral in like raising. So they can raise money two ways. You can raise money debt or equity. I want them to come to the market. All right. I'm not sure if that would happen, but if they come to us and say, hey, we think our rights issue, I'm not gonna be
So
balling.
WISYNCO
I'm not gonna
APO.
be balling with. Yeah, when I say WISYNCO rights issue, I wouldn't be balling at a WISYNCO rights issue. I feel like they're gonna do it the the chill away or the more tame route of taking debt. Um, and they may just raise some cash with via debt in order to possibly fund some more of this expansion or to just shore up the cash on their books because they seem very secure in the cash on their books. But
Mm-hmm.
I would not ball if I could see our WISYNCO rights issue. Let me just say that. That would be
I think that
amazing still.
APO.
You think
I
that
think that
APO?
APO.
You
This
think they'd
APO at
want
like
that level of
15
dilution?
or 20 or something.
I
It's
don't
for the
know.
company, bro. I think that
Yeah,
APO.
but when have they given up? I just don't
Bro,
see
it's
that
gonna be
as
a,
the my food
if they
way.
raise, it's gonna be a APO, bro. It's gonna be a APO. Just and another thing we should say that um we did 2 episodes, whole episodes, right? Issue versus APO. So if you guys don't know what an APO, I just realized you didn't even say what an APO is. And an APO is an additional public offering. So when a company lists initially on the stock exchange, they have an IPO and an initial public offering. They say, hey, would you guys like to buy some shares in the company? We'll create new shares, bring in some new shareholders. And once the company is now listed, the shares are trading, they can say, hey, we want to raise some more money. Let's create some more shares. And there are 2 ways they can do it, rights issue versus APO. We go more in detail with them, but that's just the overview. I'll try to put a link to it. But as I said, if you're right about the do an equity raise, it to me it's gonna be an APO. It's gonna be an APO. I mean, maybe I'm wrong,
Why you
but
like to crush my dreams,
it's
fam?
gonna be an APO. APO at
Bro,
20. They're just kind of APO at like 20 or something, bro.
I wouldn't
But
APO at 20. Well, I guess they would. Well, why would they APO at 20? That's market price.
they can APO, bro. They can do what they want. What?
That's true.
They own the
We've seen
company.
market price APOs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen above. We've seen above market price APOs.
They can do whatever they want, bro.
True. However, I honestly don't think they would APO, and I don't think it's my food way to be diluted this much.
Yeah,
Like
I don't think they would. I don't even think they're gonna do an equity raise, to be honest.
yeah.
But
I think they'd take it the safe option, like they have been taking the safe option, for their entire existence. None of their plays seem very risky over the years. They're just calculated moves, strategic, growing one step at a time, nothing too crazy. I think that's the WISYNCO way. So, one to watch, eh? One to watch. But yeah, I mean, there's so much that could be going on with this company. There's so much more I could possibly touch on in terms of their growth and so on, but I guess that's for another episode. Guys, tell me if you liked this little analysis. Tell me if you like these kind of us
oh wait, bring
giving
down.
our
Stop sharing your
opinion.
screen.
Oh yes, let me stop sharing my screen. Yes. So tell me if you guys like this kind of content. To be honest, I don't know if we should give our predictions for WISYNCO in terms of stock price, but I don't see them staying at 20 for too long, especially based on their proposed with the expansion plans and them increasing their capacity, them actually going possibly into the export market, earning more US dollars. If they actually do hit their targets of 30 to 40% in terms of output and being able to sell that and having their revenues reach that amount, 30 to 40% increase in revenues. When you trickle that down, their gross profit margins are about 10%. So if they can get to a 60 billion in, say, that's, when you accumulate quarters, let's say by mid next year, which is when they would end. They'll probably be at over 60 billion because right now they're at 50 high billion. So if they can get to a safe 60 billion, I don't see the company stock price trading at $21 for long. Worse if they do an equity raise. I think they could definitely be stable around $27 in the next 6 months. Let's see.
6 months. Okay. If
6 months.
anything, I would say by the end of next year, I could see them probably being like
6 months.
$25, $26. That'd be probably like a 30%. If some of the plans that they have work out, if you
Let me
see
calculate it.
stuff like interest rates, the Bank of Jamaica reducing, the interest rates, more investors coming back to equities. That's barring any equity raise though. So if the equity raise happens, I don't think that that's gonna happen. But this is me saying, okay, no equity raise, just for organic growth of the business, maybe an
Yeah.
acquisition. Yeah, I guess that's my prediction then.
Yeah. I mean, the only way if they are raising money in that route that we're thinking of, could be for an acquisition as well. They could acquire an overseas company too. Wouldn't be their first acquisition. As we spoke about, they acquired, True Juice, Trade Winds. They acquired JP Snacks. They acquired Worthy Park. So
Mm.
they could just be getting more under their belt. And when you say it, if they are increasing revenues by 30% and so on, and you want an increase in about 30% in the stock price at about $20, that would take it to 26. I could see them being at a stable $26, yes. You said in 1 year's time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go back 1 year from now. Let's do an episode on WISYNCO and see where they reach.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thumbs if you liked it. If you really loved it, then sub a sub to the channel will be, you know, water with wow. Wow. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but thank you guys for just joining us on this journey. If you like it, also just share it to your friends. Limitless out.
Peace.